I don't know how to start. This is how the first podcast was, where I just sat here for like 15 minutes. How do I start? What do I say?
Let's go. Allahu Akbar, all you you boys and girls.
Think that would get us honor killed. Is that a thing that still happens?
Probably.
I remember when I
Oh,
was
for sure, 100%.
I was working in the garden center at a grocery store, and I was sitting with a woman of Muslim religion, and I like just like out of curiosity, I can't remember how it came up, but the subject of honor killings did come up, and she was like straight up just said like, "Oh, that's not us. That's like people in third world countries. We don't do that." Very strange thing to say.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's fair, but
Anyway,
but that definitely
Anyway,
is a
welcome
thing. So
back, everyone, to the LiveHardCast. I am your totally not racist host, LiveHardman, here with not so special guest Maxi to say hello.
hello.
That was very cut off and silent on my end. Anyway, I want to start with some corrections to the last episode, where, first of all, I actually, the current frontrunner for the Canadian Conservative Party, his name is, I believe, pronounced Pierre Polive, because I saw a video of him doing boomer ass, like sitting in the passenger seat of a car, and he's got the camera like low to his face, and he's like, "Hello, it's me, Pierre Polive, and Mr. Prime Minister, I saw you not wearing a mask." And then I clicked off the video because I didn't want to watch any more of that. And the other correction is that last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever the second episode was, is I said that anti-vaxxers claim that the shots have a 1 in 50 chance of myocarditis. Well, I've also since then been seeing many anti-vaxxers saying that the shots have a 1 in 5,000 chance of myocarditis. Quite a bit of disparity there, and I don't really care to look up which is true or untrue, because it's much more fun learning about it through vague Twitter osmosis. Anything? Does that get any of your goats going, Max? Are you an anti-vaxxer at all?
Fuck that. Anti-vax is the dumbest shit around.
No swearing in the first
I
minute.
can't stand.
Delete that.
Anti-vax.
It's probably been past the.
I mean, darn it! Gosh.
It's probably been after the first
Gosh,
minute, though.
golly, I do.
You don't have to pretend to be Shadow the Hedgehog anymore. Damn.
That's what also, this will probably get cut out, but Ronya just said, "I work today," so no.
I fucking hate Ronja.
Let's just talk the whole podcast about how we hate Ronya.
Topic of the day. Here on the LiveHardCast, we open with politics, and actually, since last time, since just watching other YouTuber be mad about politics, it's gotten a lot out of me. And I've just been sort of vaguely depressed, but one political thing that I saw that did not depress me was that I saw Rob Schneider reply to a Daily Wire post saying that, it was about like a trans woman being yelled at in a bathroom or a locker room or something, and Rob Schneider's response was, "Oh, so now the normal reaction from a few decades ago is the wrong reaction," or something like that. I figure someone like Rob Schneider would want to harken back to about 30 years ago, since the normal reaction to him back then was much different than the nothing that it is now. So, Max, so thinking about seeing Rob Schneider responding to the Daily Wire, a well-known hate organization that wants you and I and all of the LGBT community to be killed, essentially, that Rob Schneider is also against us. How does it make you feel that Rob Schneider, the animal himself, may actually want you dead?
I don't really give a fuck about, I don't really care about Rob Schneider. I watched his show Real Rob that the great Aaron Hansen recommended, and one of their Game Grumps sessions, he talked about Real Rob and how it was made for no one. There's no audience that Real Rob will ever cater to because he's just a self-centered piece of shit. And it's completely true. It was not funny, and it was funny how unfunny it was, but not ironic enough to be worth watching. It was garbage.
It is a bit funny that you mention Aaron Hansen, because that's how I saw the Rob Schneider tweet, because I follow Aaron Hansen, and it just popped up in my, like, the algorithm shows you, Aaron Hansen follows Rob Schneider, maybe you'd be interested in Rob Schneider, and it was that tweet of, like, basically just fuck trans people.
God, that's so gross. I think Aaron's just following him,
Well,
ironically. I do like
Rob Schneider went on Game Grumps once or twice, maybe more even. Maybe Aaron just doesn't know how evil Rob Schneider
Did he
is.
really?
Yeah. They played like Mortal Kombat, I think, both Rob Schneider and his wife, because Rob wanted to clear up how Aaron just didn't understand his show.
We should get Rob Schneider on the LiveHardCast.
I think if he wants me
you
dead,
should have him on.
Wants me dead, not personally. I doubt he'd come on though. Hell, I used to watch Rob Schneider movies with my mom, and it is a bit weird to think about how, oh, this guy who I used to laugh at the movies of may want me to stop existing and go away because it is not normal in his eyes.
Yeah, he's stuck in the past. He's just, I don't know. He's always been the
animal.
He's always had to kind of tag along with Adam Sandler. Yeah, I like Adam Sandler movies. Adam Sandler's good. He's made some good funny stuff, but he's definitely not like the high point of a lot of comedy. And Rob Schneider's the one riding on his coattails. And he's just, I don't know, he's never really appealed to me. Screw that guy.
It's weird to think about how, like, oh, if Rob Schneider hates me on the basis of nothing, basically, just what I was born as, maybe, I mean, like, how many other people am I walking by every day that just, like, want me to stop existing and stop being alive and would push for laws to make me stop existing?
I'd say that's probably somewhere around 30%. Maybe a little less than that, like 25 to 30%. There's a lot of people like that out there, sadly. Do you believe in the borrowers, Alex? Is this a supernatural podcast? Do you believe in borrowers?
Yes, first of all. Second, yes to the supernatural podcast. What the heck is the borrowers? Explain to the audience now. I don't know what that is. Is that like the underwear gnomes?
Borrowers are like, they're little cousins of like brownies and sprites and stuff. And they go and they live in like, yeah, brownies are another kind of supernatural being.
I thought that was like a bakery product.
This is, it's one of those homophones.
God, there's such a freaking delay between when I talk and when you talk. That is just the cricket/frogs noise of me saying joke and absolutely dead silence. Anyway, continue.
Sorry. Anyway, the borrowers are supposed to be these little creatures, like gremlin-like things, that live in your walls, and they go and steal your keys or whatever object you have just lying around that you can't find. They go and they take that and hide it in their little holes like mice. They're probably just mice.
Oh, we just call those gnomes in Canada.
I have my mom might see this podcast, so maybe I shouldn't, but my mom says she saw a gnome once.
What was it? She watched a Keemstar video?
No, she was at a family friend's house at night, and she was going out for a glass of water, and she said she saw a gnome go behind the oven.
Would a gnome go? What? Is that where they live? They live behind the oven? I think they may have assisted in a certain tragedy.
She was going and grabbing a glass of water, and she went and turned around. She said she saw a little gnome, and he was standing there. Then he ran over to the oven, and she went over there, and it went behind the crack in the wall that was like an inch or two wide, and it just disappeared. She said he must have gone into like another dimension, another plane.
Interdimensional fucking gnomes. That is the dumbest shit. Sorry, Maxie's mom. I believe you, actually. That sounds awesome. I would love if little gnomes flew into our dimension and stole my shit. Be a good story to tell. Which that was. Thank you. Also, are you aware of that place in Ireland where a person flew through the ceiling?
I have not heard. Is this something Chris
it's something he talked about, yes. But I don't know if you've heard it or not. It's very interesting to me, just in the story sense.
I have not heard this. Tell me.
So basically, it's some like pub or inn in Ireland or something. There was just like a man who came in and was very nice and polite, and then when the host woman went to serve him at the table, she dropped something on the floor, and she bent down and picked it up and looked at his feet, found they were cloven hooves, so she said, "Oh, cloven hooves are you?" And then the man hissed like the devil, spreaded wings, and flew through the ceiling. And there's a hole in the roof forever from where that guy flew through.
Yeah, it sounds like something a group of Irish would have saw at a pub.
And probably just some little gnome fell through the ceiling and they had to make a story to cover it up.
Yeah, the government's always hiding gnomes.
Also, harkening back to
They keep it Area 51.
the your mother story, my mom is also extreme superstitious, though I don't think she believes in gnomes. But she's like, it's very hard to take anything she says about like the other side seriously ever. Because this one time, this like crazy homeless lady was knocking on our door, and I just directed her away because I didn't want a crazy homeless lady on my front porch. And then after I came inside, my mom was like, I think that was a ghost. That woman must have been dead. She's a ghost. And then, of course, like 5 minutes later, my brother came home and he was like, there's some crazy homeless lady around the corner. Like, no, it's not a ghost, Mom. Ghosts aren't, I don't think they knock on doors and ask to speak to you. That's like vampires or something.
Yeah, the vampires have to ask to come into the house, and if you tell them no, they have to go away.
Like Mormons.
They can't come in.
Or
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Mormon vampires would be great. Oh my god, I love that.
it'd make a great video game.
Oh, we're vampires trying to pose as Jehovah's Witness missionaries and not being allowed in.
I watched a Hussein Pecker video recently of like Mormons being at like a Mormon university in the United States, and people going and asking them questions and stuff, and a lot of the Mormons said, I think marriage should be between a man and a woman, but from my understanding, maybe I'm wrong, don't Mormons have like many wives? Isn't Mormon marriage between a man, a woman, a woman, a woman, and a woman?
That's an old stereotype. That's an old joke from back in the early days of Mormonism. From what I understand, there is a chapter. There's several different sects of Mormonism. The main one is called the Church of Latter-day Saints. That's the one that's like in Utah. You probably saw it from Brigham Young University, which is the famous one. But the other major one is RDS. I don't remember what the R stands for, but that one's in Missouri, where the original Mormons, I believe, came from. And there's also Temple of Lot. And from what I've heard, I think they still kind of do polygamy there, but it's pretty much all died out.
The original Mormons? You mean like when the world was created and Mormons came out of the earth?
Yeah, when the world was created in 1840 or something like that. 1810.
1840s, around when Canada was created officially. Fun fact,
is this around?
The church I went to as a child was older than Canada and had like 200-year-old bodies buried in the back that were dug up when construction was happening.
Were they Native Americans? Were they Native peoples?
No, I think they were just like church goers that were buried there. And that it was also, the school that I went to was right next to the church, so we played on top of ancient dead Christian bodies.
That's pretty interesting, pretty typical. I've heard, there was an Onion story a long time ago that it was financial experts confirmed that the woe of America's economy is because of an ancient Native American curse, because the country's built on a Native American burial ground. If your friends all went and shit their pants, would you too?
No. Have you ever shat your pants?
Yeah.
In real life? When was the last time you shitted your pant?
Oh, it was not... I wish it was further ago. I think the last time I shat my pants was maybe like... Oh... I think it was this year. Was it this year? It might have been this year in January. I was really sick. I was lying in bed, and I had such an awful illness. I had to go to the hospital on January 1st, and I think I shat myself in bed. I don't know if that counts as shitting my pants.
Were you wearing pants?
Because I wasn't out in like public, but I was wearing pajama pants, and I shat myself.
I think it's just more about like not making it to the toilet in time that matters.
Oh, that would have probably been when I was in high school then. I think that's the last time I did.
I mean, that also, the first one does count. Or did you, like, shit your pants in front of the class? Are you, like, doing a presentation on, like, bronies or something?
I don't quite recall. I think I was... I've always kind of had something like IBS. I don't have IBS, but I've had some problems in the past. But I had a tendency to eat, like, a lot of greasy food stuff between classes, and I I think one of the times I wasn't able to get over to the bathroom quick enough to shat myself, but I had my car, so I just kind of drove
You
home
had a
and went and got a change.
freaking car in high school, you bougie 1% bastard. How dare you?
My grandma gave it to me. My grandma gave it to me.
Your rich oil baron grandma.
It was an old Chevrolet. That was my third car, I think.
Your grandma Andrew Tate gave you a Bugatti. Now that I want to get back onto Andrew Tate. Oh, we were talking about...
Who's that? Who's Andrew Tate?
No, I talked about him last podcast. Not going to do it again. We were talking about Indians and burial stuff before we took the big pause. What I wanted to ask was as when you said, "Is this a paranormal podcast?" And the answer is yes. Do you yourself have any ghost stories? Is what I wanted to ask. You've probably told me some in the past, but
I do have some stories.
Go, talk, speak, say.
I want to preface this by saying I myself do not believe in anything paranormal. I want to make clear that God? I don't believe in ghosts.
Not Jesus.
No, I certainly not.
You're gonna get this taken down.
So. I believe in demons before I believe in any.
Believe in the Green Goblin, Spider-Man.
And I don't even believe in.
Talk, speak.
Ghost. As a child, supposedly I did see ghosts as a kid when, but I was a child, so I don't fully accept that. But my family used to live in this little house, in a little room we rented in Southern California, when my parents were going to university, and I remember there was this orb, this like ball of just pink light.
Like a wizard's magic orb. Go.
Pretty much. I was a little bit. I was like maybe 2 or 3. I was a toddler. No, maybe 4, but I don't think I was that old. I think it was 3 to 4. And there was just this pink floating orb that would keep. And I used to just think that was a floater in my eye.
Wait a minute, a pink floating orb? That's the clitoris. Go on.
Yeah, the clitoris would come and appear to me. It would float through the walls. And I was like, there it is. I found it. But my mom heard me say that I saw something I was calling her the Pink Lady, and that I kept seeing the Pink Lady. And she didn't believe it, but she said she came in one time to like come check in on me, and she saw this like ghost lady just standing there next to me.
Jesus Christ.
And that she disappeared.
Was she pink?
Yeah, or something like that. I can't recall that detail, but I know that she said she saw a lady there, and I was just kind of like talking to her. I think maybe she heard me talking to someone. She came in, there was a ghost lady there, and then she just disappeared.
Maybe a gnome took her away.
And then when we were driving in a car away from the house, there was the pink orb that actually followed us for, my mom said, almost a mile, that she could see the orb and that it was like following us in the car. My dad saw it too. And then it just disappeared.
Like when they looked in the rear view mirror, there was like an orb coming at them. They had to step on the pedal to get away. What do you mean following?
Yeah, pretty much.
You were hunted by a pink orb? It
was just like following us.
That's freaky.
It was like trying to float around me in the car, and then they drove away, and it kept following us for like a mile before it stopped, and must have gotten out of range of the house.
Perhaps that was your guardian angel. That's something my mom believes in, that they're like a guardian angel that follows everyone.
I don't really believe in guardian angels. I have family that do, but personally I just think that they should act more if they do exist. Am I right?
I mean, how much can they do? They are one angel. You want them like direct the whole course of your life, tell you the lottery numbers?
I don't know. How about stop like 3-year-old children from burning in fires?
Your guardian angel can't do that. And maybe it did actually. Maybe it stopped you from burning in a fire.
Saying if everyone has a guardian angel, then like most angels are fucking up all the time. They're not doing a good job. They're just drunk on the job or something.
Sounds like as if everyone in the world became a guardian angel about how it would go.
That's the only way that I'd believe in like God and angels, as if they were imperfect, as if they were not omniscient, not omnipotent, and they're just kind of try and say that stuff in the Bible like they're these perfect beings because it's propaganda.
It's pretty.
That's all it is.
God is actually like a Ben Shapiro type character.
Actually, women shouldn't have rights. It's me, the Lord Yahweh. Women don't have wet vaginas. That's not real. There is no
I did
wet-ass
not
pussy.
design them that
I, the
way.
Lord, decree that women shall. Thou shalt not have wet pussy.
It's Adam and Eve, not Adam, Eve, and Eve's wet-ass pussy, okay? This needs to stop.
Did you know the Bible mentions unicorns multiple times?
I did not. I did know that there's a unicorn in one of the Narnia books that's kind of similar to the Bible.
There's like 6 different references to the unicorn in the Bible.
What? Didn't they have did they have horses and... Oh yeah, there was like Rome, they had horses. I just thought all horses in the Middle East area would die of heat disease.
Well, of course they had horses. Noah loaded them up on the ark himself.
The space ark?
Of course.
That's actually an orb.
Yeah. And the church that I was raised in, actually, there was a belief that the Tower of Babel was a spaceship.
Well, that's just historically true. Elon Musk is building the second one.
Because they believe that pre-flood times, it was believed they had better technology than we have today. Also that humans created the dinosaurs.
It's just the plot of like 700 million different bad sci-fi movies, like the Doom movie.
Like the Super Mario Brothers movie.
I've only seen that as a little kid, and it's just like a memory of fever dreams. Nothing makes sense.
From what I can recall, it was just like King Koopa, and the other ones are dinosaurs from another dimension where the meteor never hit the Earth. And they're trying to get a meteor to hit the real world in Brooklyn so that they can merge the two universes together. And also Yoshi's there, and he's a full-ass dinosaur.
Wait, so does Mario actually go to the real world?
Mario is in the real world. He and his brother's John Leguizamo, and Mario's played by Bob Hoskins? I can't remember his name. But they are in Brooklyn. They're just regular plumbers.
Oh.
I don't think there is a Princess Peach. And then I don't recall exactly how. I think they found some like government conspiracy where there was this big billionaire guy who turned out to be Bowser, and he had hair like Guy Fieri.
That's not how I remember it. I remember him having like slick backed Wesker hair. Something's not adding up. You're lying to me. You don't know the Mario movie? You're a fake Mario fan.
He has all this spiky hair. One sec, I'm gonna send you a picture. You should put it in post.
I want you to show
Bowser from the Mario movie.
Now my mind is stuck up on because I said real fan. Are you aware that there was a subsect of the Resident Evil community that like only likes the very first game, and anyone who likes anything after that they say is not a real Resident Evil fan because only the first game was horror. All the other ones are action crap.
I'd believe that. That's something I'd hear people say. I'm a baby. I've never played any of them.
You could watch
the
remake of the first game on this very channel.
I did. I saw it when you first were uploading it. It was great. It was good stuff.
I don't like that picture you put in the Discord. I'm not putting that up. Also, that is not at all what Guy Fieri's hair looks like. I don't know what Guy Fieri you watched.
I think that's what
Diners, Dives, and Drive-Ins.
Do aliens count as supernatural?
I think so, because I occasionally get the paranormal topic presented to me on Twitter, and it includes UFO stuff. Have you seen a unidentified pink saucer?
I would swear that I've seen an unidentified flying object.
Tell me.
That's sign I would.
Tell me, you crazy homeless bastard.
It was while we were driving between San Luis Obispo and Fresno at like 2 a.m., something like that. Driving back to Kings County.
Stop talking like an old person. Tell me the friggin' story already.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to gather my thoughts to say it in like in a dramatic
I
way.
don't
I'm trying
care.
to present
Speak.
it
We're
in
shooting
an
the shit.
epic
It does not matter if the listener is entertained.
like,
This is purely for my purposes. I hate everyone that watches this channel,
okay,
especially you.
there was a floating black triangle. It was a floating black triangle that kept pace with the car as we were going, something like
What? What?
60 to 70 miles
What
an
do you mean
hour, somewhere in
kept
there.
pace with the car? Like it was like right above you, following you?
Yes, it followed us for, I think, like 5 to 10 minutes, and then it just flew straight up just into the night, and it was just gone.
So a Dorito followed, like, was it, you mean followed as in like you were watching it ahead of the car? Like it was up and to the right or something through the windshield?
No, I looked out the window, out of the passenger side window, and I looked up, and it was just floating over the car,
You stuck
and it
your head
followed us
out the
for
window
many
like a
minutes before
dog
it just.
and craned your neck directly upwards for no reason?
You're telling me you wanted to do the same thing? Have you noticed that? Have you saw that?
I would probably just assume it was like a stealth bomber about to kill me and I'd cry.
I don't think it was aliens. I will say I don't think it was aliens, but I think it was probably some, classified military technology. Remember when they confirmed UFOs exist in 2020? Do you remember that?
Vaguely. I didn't really pay much attention.
I think it was the CIA or someone. They just kind of released a document that was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, UFOs are real." Anyway,
I remember UFO Twitter was banging
um,
about that, but I didn't read anything specific. Did they like confirm your black triangle story?
well, they just confirmed that there have been military pilots and plenty of people that are qualified in the field who have flown for, hundreds or thousands of hours in combat and, airways, that they have reported that they've seen UFOs all the time, and that these pilots should be able to recognize what aircraft is. And no, they have seen UFOs, and the government is aware of this and is keeping track of it. And as far as they can tell, they come in certain shapes, and a triangle is a pretty common one, and another one is sort of like pill shaped. And most often, they don't seem to have an identifiable propulsion system, which is interesting to them. They didn't confirm or deny what they were, but that they were keeping track of them, and they were aware that this is a widely reported problem, and they have been formally looking into it.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's kind of like government confirmed other life in the universe. Little green men are flying around me like, beep borp, that human is stupid. Let's follow his car to mess with him. That's kind of fun.
Let's go probe his asshole.
Do you think that's a real phenomenon? Do you think people have been abducted and probed?
Imagine getting anal probes and they just hit your prostate and you come right there on the
that's
table.
Probably the point.
On the probing table.
We're a horny species. Maybe aliens
and the aliens
are too.
Like,
they just select our hottest, craziest hillbillies, have their way with them.
Hey, they're just anal probing them because they're trying to milk out their cum to go and breed us. That they're sort of like how you artificially inseminate with bulls. They're probably just using that to extract semen.
That is a very real possibility that I'm sure Alex Jones knows all about. Have you followed the Alex Jones trial that's went on at all?
I just watched a video from a channel called Legal Eagle. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I've heard of League of Legends.
But he made a great video on the Alex Jones trial. It's so crazy. I can't even begin. Have you been watching? I saw just the clip of that where he went and was like, "Oh, my legal counsel was supposed to send you all of my all that info. I did send it over to you." And then they were like, "No, you sent it like after we had already closed discovery, and you proved that you were hiding this for years." It's like, "Oh, I guess this is your Perry Mason moment."
Did you see the clips of him like
then he caught
where like afterwards on InfoWars they're like calling the judge a pedophile and stuff? Like how fucking dumb do you have to be? Like so disconnected from the reality of what's going on versus just being so stuck up and having to entertain people for your income. Not having the foresight to see that when those two things collide, it means less income.
The best quote I've ever heard from Alex Jones was I don't really watch the Joe Rogan podcast. I'm not a fan of that, especially with how it's become. But he was on there as a guest, and he just told Joe Rogan, he's like, "I'm gonna be honest with you.
Oh,
I'm kind of retarded."
yeah, that was a famous quote.
And then that's my favorite. One second, I'm getting a glass of water that kills my throat. Okay, I got my water.
I think my favorite Alex Jones quote was when he was talking about how Hillary Clinton like drinks blood and is a vampire and stuff. She like eats foreskins. It's very funny to think about the elite pedos of
I
the
have
world.
family that believes that.
They like sit around and like have bags of just foreskins freeze dried like Doritos, and they just chomp on them for fun every now and then.
They put that in like face cream. They take the baby foreskins and they put that in lotion that rich people put on their face.
Yeah, that was the famous some actor woman on Oprah or Ellen. No, it was Ellen. She's like, we use tee hee ha ha. It's the foreskins of little babies, and everyone in the crowd starts cheering. And she says, "Look under your chair," and there's a baby and a pair of scissors.
It's what's her name? That crazy bitch that made Goop.
It was not Gwyneth Paltrow, I think. It was not her on the Ellen show. It was like Jennifer something or other. Anyway, that's not an important point. Moving.
Oh.
Let us move on to something else that we actually know the actor of.
That does actually make me think. You just said it's like Jenny something. You know, Jenny McCarthy is the lady that started the rumor that vaccines cause autism.
I thought it was some like doctor person.
She's some celebrity that I think went on Oprah or she's like, "I don't vaccinate my children because that causes autism."
So the concept of just acquiring autism like 13 years into your life, I guess that's probably the fear that current anti-vaxxers genuinely have, that although it's probably not autism at this point, they've moved beyond that to like myocarditis, which I suppose could be a total like real thing I'm willing to believe based on how COVID causes actual long-term problems all over the board. So a vaccine that contains COVID may actually also be able to cause long-term problems, is just my non-scientific logic at any rate.
Oh, are you talking about the Johnson & Johnson one that actually contains dead virus?
Yeah, I don't know anything about the vaccines other than I wanted them because I'd like to be alive.
It's just proof that science education is completely awful in this country. It's garbage.
I'm not American.
People don't even know what messenger RNA is. Oh, well, I can't speak for Canada, but I know that a lot of that freak out is coming from America.
Did you know that I assume would be true of all America, but here a passing grade is 50%, and what I hear from Americans everywhere, it's like 60%, so we're technically dumber than y'all.
It's like 70%.
Wow. That's 70%'s a B minus.
It used to be. In college, there's a lot of them you can get by with a 60%. And if it's not like necessary for your major elective. And then in high school, especially where I was going in California, if you were to get a D, that's in a class that's considered a fail, and you have to retake the course at least when I was going to school.
D doesn't start with F. It's not a Dale. You don't become Dale Gribble if you get a bad mark.
It was pretty crap. When I was studying abroad in Hong Kong, though, from what I recall, a passing grade was 30%, 40%, something like that.
This is the LiveHardCast. After all, you mentioned Hong Kong, and while we're talking about school systems, I was thinking about, like, oh, yeah, the science, when you said the science teaching isn't very good, and now how many states in America don't want to teach about the gaze of you and I or any trans people or anything. You talked about going to Hong Kong. I don't know, do you want to talk about any of your Hong Kong experiences or anything?
I have to say, I was not treated well in Hong Kong. I'm not saying this doesn't reflect at all on the Hong Kong independence movement. I would say I support Hong Kong to be free and independent. But for a long while after I had come back to the U.S., I held a lot of hatred towards Hong Kong and its people because I was treated very poorly while I stayed there and studied abroad. And I do remember there being a lot of just kind of microaggression transphobia while I was there. And how it was sort of talked about as just being a Western thing or an American thing. Our genetics class, we were talking about what are the sex determining genes and what are the different kind of syndromes you can have when there are mutations on those genes, like Klinefelter syndrome or others. And I remember they were like, X is female and XY is male, but that's not completely true because there are certain other issues. There's intersex people, and it's more common than people realize, is what the teacher said. And I remember like a lot of the class kind of just laughing at that, and some people being like, "Oh, but those are like freaks."
Yeah. I myself, to take some of the heat off you of the hard topics, even though Canada is a very accepting place, like when you're a fucking kid in Catholic school, it certainly isn't. Although as you get into older, the teens, the smart kids were of course much more accepting, but in the only like real sort of like, I guess it wasn't institutionalized homophobia since the teacher fought back on it immediately, but when I was 14 and we were talking about pride parades, there's this one kid in the class I was like super fucking mad about them, like, why should my tax dollars go to make some fucking guy shake his ass on a stage? And that was like the only time I ever experienced like disgust openly and people agreeing with homophobia in school. But the teacher, of course, shut it down right away, like that. Your tax dollars don't go to that. It actually brings a lot of money into the city. Stuff like that.
I've experienced quite a bit when I was still going to school. I grew up in a pretty conservative community.
You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
Actually, I'm fine with talking about it. I came from Central California. As soon as anyone hears California, they're like, "Oh, Commifornia, all the fucking liberal commies from there, the libtards that go and ruin everything." But
please don't play direct quotes from Tim Allen stand-up specials. It'll get me DMCA'd.
The center of California, which is the San Joaquin Valley, outside of the city of Fresno and the neighboring counties, or Fresno County is a different one within San Joaquin. But I came from a place called Kings County. I don't want to say specifically what city, but where I grew up, it was sort of a farm town. Not quite, but a lot of people knew each other. And I remember when I was in high school, I went to a charter high school. I actually got in by lottery.
Didn't ask, plus who cares, plus
and
fuck
so
you. Go on.
So it was supposed to be, like it was a very well-respected high school. It wasn't a private school per se. You didn't have to pay to go there. It was still a public school. But we had a lot of really good teachers and a lot of good extracurriculars. We didn't have a physics class, but that's just beside the point. I remember I was in government and economic class. They were taught by the same teacher, and they were in
Rambling,
the same
minus 10 maxi points.
Yeah. Anyway, we were talking about gay rights and gay marriage and stuff, and there was this girl in the class that I just think that's gross. I don't think there should be gays. I just think that's disgusting, and that I don't think guys kissing guys is good.
You should have shot
gross.
her.
And I looked at her and I said, "Then you're a bitch," and I got detention.
That's fun. Gotta love that school instilled homophobia. There's two branching topics here. You and kid or the current Keffels situation.
I think the Keffels one's more important.
Alright then, to branch off, you just mentioned, we both, I suppose, just mentioned institutionalized homophobia and transphobia. There's currently a situation going on. Those who aren't aware of, a streamer known as Keffels was recently swatted, and the police were very unkind to her, used dead naming frequently, referring to her as the wrong, misgendering her very much, even though that's now illegal in Canada. And it's very fun to live in one of the most progressive countries in the world in the year of our Lord 2016, and still entire institutions hate us. That is extremely fun to live in that world.
My mom was like, I can't believe this is happening in Canada, because there's a lot of liberals in America that really look to Canada as being...
You cut out. Where'd you go? We're just going to dive back into it. For those of you at home, we just had a little internet cutout situation, and I went downstairs in the dead of night at 3 a.m. to get Pepsi, and I was legitimately afraid that I would see a pink orb of some kind. You've put the orb into my brain. It's a scary thought, because I already have some, like, fears of sudden noises, and I'm not good with the dark, especially when it's, like, dead quiet, more so the quiet than the dark. I just always expect something to, like, sneak up behind me and make a noise.
I have seen other things besides just the pink lady ghost, but that's one of the more distinct ones I know, one of the more different ones that I have.
You've seen more, like, other colors and stuff? Is it always orbs? This topic does interest me as someone who doesn't want to die forever.
I saw shadow people a lot when I was around 10 to 12, something like that.
When I think of shadow people now, I just think of those little pink things from Smiling Friends pilot episode, but shadows.
I just think of Shadow the Hedgehog. Those black creatures. Black.
Yeah, he says that a lot in the game. For you not listening at home, in the video game Shadow the Hedgehog, he shoots black people.
Yeah, he goes, you need to... They're attacking the black creatures. You need to go kill those black... Oh my god, by the way, that just reminds me. This is completely unrelated, sort of. But have you ever heard of this show called Black White? It aired in 2006. It's just called Black, period. White, period.
No, isn't that the anime Bleach? I haven't heard of that.
It was a reality show in 2006 that was produced by Ice Cube, and the premise of the show, it sounds so fucking awful, because it is. The premise is they took a black family and they took a white family, and then they put the black family in whiteface and they put the white family in blackface, and then they have them go around in public doing things as a sort of cultural exchange.
That's interesting. What happened?
It won an Emmy.
That is, of course, the most reasonable outcome to the situation. Where blackface get well, I guess Canada does prove that, where blackface become prime minister. As an always fun fact. Before the disconnect, you were saying that all liberals look at Canada and pray towards us like Mecca or something.
Oh yeah, pretty much. I know that there's a lot of liberals, including in my family, that have considered moving to Canada and look to Canada as a really important world leader when it comes to tolerance, freedom, and understanding. Canada's a pretty good place. I have that's my experience.
Just based as someone who has taken a course about racism in Canada in college. That is a pretty big misconception. We're pretty much like America, but recover on a lot of things faster. Like, we had slavery, but abolished it sooner. We were very white supremacist around the time of American civil rights things, but I don't think I actually learned about how that went. Like, if we had segregation and stuff, I just learned about various incidents, like I don't know if you ever heard of the Komagata-maru, I can't remember how it's pronounced. It was this, like, Indian ship that docked in Canada full of, I can't remember if it was refugees or anything. I got a D in the class, which was a pass here. And they just, like, let the Indian people in the ship sit on the port for months because they didn't want to let any more Indian people into the country.
Yeah, that sounds right. I'd believe that. Have you ever heard of the Chinese Exclusion Act?
I've heard the name, but I can't remember exactly what it was. Why don't you inform our listeners?
It was I'm trying to remember the exact dates. I think it ended in 1910, but maybe it started then. It what I believe it started went on for like 100 years, so maybe it was 1810 to 1910, somewhere in there. But the Chinese Exclusion Act was a bill that was an act that was passed that did exactly what it says. It excluded Chinese people from immigrating to the United States for many decades. It made it illegal for Chinese to immigrate here.
That's fun. We also had Chinese racism in Canada around that time of they also built our railroads in like slave-like conditions. They've found many corpses and such.
I heard recently, I don't know how much truth there is to this, but I heard that there was a big push back around segregation times to try and make it more about how it was Chinese immigrants, which a lot of the time Asians are seen as Asian Americans are often seen as the model immigrants, the model minority, that come here and succeed and do well. They build up a business and they just work hard and keep to their own communities. A lot of the time is how they're sort of talked about. Um, and I heard that a lot of the railroads were actually built by black people, like the Trans-Pacific Railroad. I heard was mostly built on slave labor, which was technically slavery, because slavery was abolished, even though they were still owned as felons on trumped up charges that were kept by the railroad company to build those. I don't know if that was also the case in Canada, but I know they try to say that it was Chinese so they could take the topic away from black people, is what I heard.
Isn't that just how America still operates today with its prisons?
Yeah, pretty much. It used to be even worse though than it is currently. It's still not good, of course, but it used to be that there were felonies like whistling in the presence of a white woman.
Well, that should be a felony now.
And so they just throw a black guy in prison, and then he'd they'd auction him off to the highest bidder for who got to do slave labor. And then rather than doing, the labor in the prisons, they would ship them out to whatever company was holding them, some of them even picking cotton, and they'd just go and work for those companies under armed guard as forced labor, and people didn't care because it was prisoners.
Red people didn't care because it was black people. Also,
It's pretty
crime of whistling in
nightmarish.
front of a white woman, isn't that like a Japanese thing? Like, don't whistle if ghosts are around because it pisses them off. Further proof that white women are ghouls, am I right, gamers?
I think that's a like Pan Asian thing. I know that I think they have that in China, Korea, and Malaysia as well. Of don't whistle at night because it attracts spirits.
Yeah, you live in Hawaii where there are roaming big packs of ghost tribe men who will kill you if you're not laying on the ground.
I'm trying to recall it. I should remember. I'm having a brain fart. Trying to recall what they're
You
called.
having brain fog? You having vaccine brain fog? What did I tell you?
The vaccine. It made me stupid. I can't remember what they're called. I'm Googling it actually because I can't remember what the name of these ghosts are. I didn't know what you're talking about. They're Obake.
The freaky
They
tiki.
Hawaii Ghost Warriors. What are they called? Night Marchers. Night Marchers. Damn, how did I forget that?
Sounds like a stupid equivalent what The Walking Dead would call zombies. Go on, sorry.
Apparently in Hawaiian they're also called Huakai Po. Sorry to any Hawaiians if I got that wrong. Huakai Po.
Hawaiians don't watch this show, it's banned.
The Night Marchers are said to be, from my understanding, the deceased warriors that used to fight under the different ali'i or chiefs of Hawaii, and they go about with their torches and their drums at night along some of the old paths here that the warriors used to march. And a lot of the time they come, I believe, to retrieve the soul of, or maybe it's the mana. I think it's the soul of the ali'i.
I'm gonna
or
cut
I think
that
their
so
family
all
if they
you
die.
said is a lot of the time they come.
I think they run drills. They come, they
You have
jizz
to
a
lay
lot.
down in the field and they all jizz on you. And you can't get up or they kill you.
That's it's just a ghost bukkake. That's what all the ectoplasm is. They fucking bust all over you. It's Ghostbusters, Nutbusters. I have a friend who knew
What is this
someone who
fucking
apparently saw
afraid
those.
of? Are you afraid of the dark? This happened to a friend of mine.
Yeah, I think it might have been a friend of his friend. Actually, I think it was a friend of a friend of
No
a
one
friend.
ever
Once
experiences
heard
ghosts,
from a
just their
cousin
friends of friends do.
that. Yeah, I'm not gonna say. I'll say I don't really believe in anything supernatural. I respect the cultural beliefs of Hawaii, and I wouldn't go and be like, "Fuck you!" I'm not some redditor to be like, sorry, Hawaii, that shit's fake. You fucking backwards or anything like that. They can believe it. That's their cultural beliefs, and I haven't experienced it. I don't really believe in supernatural, but
I've
some
seen.
people
Oh
have
yeah,
seen it.
I think you told me a story once of like someone you knew like laid in a field for 4 hours or something because they thought the night marchers were there.
No, it's not that long.
they
There was
they laid in a
they were
field for
driving
40
along the
days and
road, and then I
40
think their car
nights.
broke down.
Night marchers just wouldn't fuck off.
You have to immediately fall to your hands and knees, and I think you have to look down at the ground. Otherwise, they will strike you dead, like right there. They'll go and
It's
kill
not
you
very
and
nice.
drag you off. It's because of an old Hawaiian tradition. It was a cultural practice that if you looked at the ali'i, if you stepped on the ali'i's shadow, the ali'i being the chief,
That is a
they
little
would
thing I
kill you
worry about if ghosts were to be real.
right there.
Like all these like other countries like Japanese, Indonesian ghosts that I see in games where they have like specific rules like, oh, don't breathe around this ghost, don't take a picture of this ghost. Like I'm just gonna like be traveling to Japan one day and I'm not gonna know the ghost like code of conduct where you have to tell it like 5 riddles, so just no matter what happens I'll be fucking killed.
You're like, I don't know it. In Japanese, you have to pull out your little translation book, trying to figure out what the hell the ghost is saying. My mom believes in a lot of those, like poltergeists. My mom believes in
We played
poltergeists.
Phasmophobia and had those. They turn on the TV.
They throw things. They're supposed to throw things a lot. They're very active in moving objects around. My dad's my parents actually no,
Okay.
that's too personal detail.
You're about
That'll
to just
identify
give
them
away your
easily.
dad's social security number and how like a ghost wrote it down for him one time. We're talking about ghosts a lot. I keep steering back to it. This is now a purely... The first 2 episodes were political. This is ghost-litical. This is due to the ongoing LGBT plus genocide. We have both been killed and are now ghosts.
This is officially a spooky
Happy
cast.
Halloween.
This is officially spirit. Because this is
No,
Die
that's
Hard
just
Man.
where the name came from, is a Death Stranding character named LiveHardman. Yes, because I wanted a dumb
really?
Kojima name. My original choice was
Disagree.
Sufferman, but it was taken. And then I was looking at Die Hard Man. I was like, well, live hard, man. That sounds good. And it relates to suffering. You are living hard. And it also works because it's like boner. Get it?
Oh. I don't really know a lot about Kojima aside from him being framed for the assassination of
I don't think
Shinzo
we can
Abe.
mention that. They might send us a cease and desist or something. So I can't. Actual news agencies picked up on that is the crazy part. But I guess actual news agencies pick up on 4chan shit all the time.
So funny. It was Spain, Portugal, and Greece. I was watching a Greek news one as well, and they were talking about him, and they put him up. Shinzo Abe, though, do you know what the motive of the assassination was in that?
When it happened, how, and also I think everyone else has discussed, so we shouldn't get too into it, is how his, like, mom got caught in a religious scan that Shinzo Abe is, like, at the center of.
No, he wasn't at the center of it. He's just kind of... He and his father spread the church a lot in Japan by associating with them and promoting them.
I'd like to fucking moon every churchgoer. Have you ever done anything naughty in a church before? 'Cause I have if you haven't.
No, I never have. Tell me, what have you done in a church?
I peed on a church floor once.
What? Why?
It
You went
was
to Catholic church, right?
Yes, I went to Catholic school, and we were doing like some rehearsal for something. I think it was in like, I was like way too old to be peeing on the floor too. I was like 13, I think, if I remember correctly. Because like I really, really had to piss, and we were at the church, and I was like, "Oh, can I go to the bathroom?" And I went down, like my teacher said, yeah, I went downstairs to where the church bathroom was, but the door was locked, and I was like, "Fuck it, I have to piss too bad." So I just dropped trowel right there, peed my little boy pee on the fucking church carpet like an animal, and went back upstairs like nothing happened. I never got caught, scot fucking free.
You say last podcast that you're a urinal shitter too. You shed in a urinal,
Yep, I've lived a good life.
pissing on floors, shitting in urinals, untamable.
That's the only way to live, brother. They tell you to wipe, but you gotta piss. Who needs a bidet? I got my own bidet right here.
My dad uses a bidet. He swears
That's
by it.
disgusting.
Yeah, I don't get it. I'm not a fan.
I don't think it's disgusting, and I get it, because I once took a big, slimy, sloppy shit, and then jumped in the shower, and it was like heaven. It was the perfect clean. Though note, I did wipe before I got in the shower. I did not just pour shit water into my shower.
I'd rather have a buffalo take a diarrhea dump in my ear than use a fucking
How dare you.
bidet. Those fucking Frenchmen.
I forgot I have standard topics for the podcast every week / whenever it happens, and you just reminded me of our weeks, because what did you do this week, Max? Did you play any games, watch any things, do anything interesting?
Let's see. What have I done this week? Well, yesterday I was sick. Yesterday I was shitting my guts out.
Had a buffalo take a diarrhea dump in your ear?
Yeah. And then I've been playing Fall Guys recently. That's a lot of fun.
Cringe, baby game.
I kick ass at it. I'm fucking poggers.
Maybe we could play it on the channel sometime together.
Hell yeah, I'd love that. Let me look in my photos to remind me. You know, I actually have a really horrible, really horrible memory.
No one cares about your stupid Fall Guys. They care that I won twice when I played Fall Guys, and that was cool.
I've won 4 times.
I beat the 3-year-olds. You're a fucking loser. Get a life.
I found a lot of lizards. I've been finding a lot of baby lizards. That's what I've done this week.
You've been eating lizards?
I have to pee, actually. I'm gonna piss on the floor.
Dodging the question. I will also pee, I suppose. Actually, no, I won't, because I'm scared of the orb. Once you know about the orb always follows.
Okay, I return.
Well, you're telling me that when you went to go pee-pee, you were not at all scared of opening the door and seeing an orb in the forest?
I'm more scared of there being the fucking crackhead. Some method sneaking on onto my land.
Oh, that's what probably explain to the audience that Maxie lives deep in the Amazon jungle where crackheads roam the woods at night in search of food.
We get a lot of squatters. I haven't had any people come here. I'd also be worried about wild dogs and boars. You get those sometimes.
Also, I just want to clear up in the comments. So someone's gonna say, since we mentioned Hawaii before, and be like, the Amazon's not in Hawaii. Yeah, I know, I was joking. Fuck you. Go on. How was your week? You shitted, you ate lizards.
I found a lot of little baby lizards. We have a gecko here, the golden day gecko, and it's actually the same species as the gecko gecko. It's an invasive species here, and they're having a lot of babies. A lot of invasive
podcast
babies.
Not sponsored in any way.
Yeah, if you can actually save 15. Did you know you can save 15% or more on car insurance?
Shut up.
I'm epic. You want to hear another ghost story instead?
Hell yeah.
When I was around, I think it was around the same age. I don't think it was the same house, but it might have been. We had a large fireplace that I think was like 5 feet tall. It was a huge fireplace. Which is
sounds more like a manlit fireplace.
It's weird to have in Southern California. Because I'm like, it doesn't really get cold there, but whatever. But there were eyes in there when I was little. If you looked in there, there were like eyes looking back at you sometimes.
That's just Santa Claus. What's the problem?
My mom swore that she heard like whispering coming from it, and she didn't like
That's Santa Claus asking what you want for Christmas.
I believed in Santa Claus when I was little. I believed in Santa Claus up until I was like 7 or 8, I think. When did you stop believing in Santa?
It was the dumbest reason. I think I was like around like 6 or 7 as well. Probably not 6. Probably like maybe even like as early as 5 or 4. But me and my brother set up like traps along our upstairs hallway and bedroom. And then, like, on Christmas Eve, then the next morning when none of the traps were sprung, we were like, what? Santa didn't trip over, like, the jump rope we set up or anything? That means he's not real, because if he was, that trap definitely would have got him, and that's, like, just by that logic, you just instantly were like, it was probably Dad that put the presents downstairs.
It's pretty good deductive reasoning.
There is no way Santa Claus could step over some jump rope that was tied around 2 posts. Impossible.
Yeah, I wish there was like a Home Alone versus Santa movie. That'd be fucking... Because it's already like a Christmas movie. That'd have been epic. Just fucking trying to trap and kick the shit out of Santa with all of his sadistic nightmare tools.
To get back to me, because it's my podcast, I forgot to talk about my week. Yeah, I did pretty much nothing but watched AVGN. And I don't know if you're still doing it when you're this deep in the podcast, but public service announcement, do not fucking buy Saints Row the Third Remastered on Xbox, because that shit crashes every goddamn 20 to 40 minutes. And I fucking love Saints Row 3 and I want to play it, but I can't, because it keeps fucking crashing. Public service announcement over. Oh, another staple of the podcast I want to always have is our weekly recommendations. Maxie, what is a game you would recommend to someone this week? If you could talk to everyone in the world and recommend one video game, what would it be? Make your pitch. If they don't like it, they kill you.
Uh-oh. Let me open my Steam really quick to see what I just played. I really liked Stick Fight the game.
Is that from like 2004, stickdeath.com?
The Stick Fight's just kind of I guess it's sort of like Gang Beasts. It's nothing like Gang Beasts, I don't know. You just go and you fight your friends in there. It's little stickmen, and you go and you can pick up guns and swords and just kind of hit each other, and you platform around, and the stages move. It's really fun.
Sounds like you're just recommending violence in real life. That doesn't sound like a game to me.
It's a really good... Also Rain World, but...
you only got one. Your recommendation is now over.
I'm sorry,
failed.
Stick Fight.
You're dead.
Stick Fight's epic. Get Stick Fight the game. Everyone by 100 years. Stick Fight the game.
Nobody buys Stick Fight. I hate it. I don't know what it is. My video game recommendation to you this week is, Paper Mario Origami King. You at home should play that video game. It is good. It has excellent music. Very charming writing. The battle system is okay. It's fun. It's nothing amazing. Honestly, I'd never replay Origami King, but the one playthrough I did is a good 7 out of 10, and someone has to play it. That's my game recommendation for this week. On to the next recommendation. Maxie, what is your movie recommendation to everyone for this week?
Movie recommendation. I'd say everyone... I don't have original shit. Watch Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. That's always a classic. I love Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. That's one of the best movies ever made.
I didn't know they made anything other than that, the show and the one with the Camelot and the bird.
Oh, they've made so many amazing movies. Just watch Monty Python's entire catalog. Watch The Life of Brian, The Meaning of Life.
Once again, you have failed the recommend one thing challenge. You are now disqualified from the podcast forever.
Fuck, no, just The Meaning of Life. Watch that one. That's the best one.
You would be thrown off the bridge if we were on one. It's a good reference, right? I gotcha. My movie recommendation this week is, I said RoboCop last time or the time before that, right? So going along with RoboCop is Dread 2012, a very similar movie, a very similar action movie about Copulon shooting people in a very satisfying action way. There's not really much story to it other than Dredd goes into building get close, Dredd must now kill everyone, and it's very entertaining to watch him shoot stuff and have no fun at all because he shows no emotion other than law. You will enjoy it if you like action movies and violence and death and stuff. Thank you. That is my movie recommendation for the week. Notice how it is only one movie because I am smart. I'm a better podcaster than Maxie. Maxie doesn't know how to podcast.
You already have 2 podcasts under your belt. You're already a professional.
I'm not wearing a belt. I'm in my pajamas.
I'm wearing some shorts
also
and a t-shirt.
For the listeners at home, let me just interrupt you because I hate you. I may sound different this week because I have 2 fans on instead of my usual one, so the noise canceling is working twice as hard. Because it do be hot though, and I don't want to record naked and sweating anymore.
Alex, do you have any ghost stories for me?
Not really, because I told my only two or three big ones on the podcast before, but there is a little thing that I'm afraid to talk about, much like in the orb scenario, just because I don't want to acknowledge it. But every now and then, when it's the middle of the night and I'm walking around my house, I swear out of the corner of my eye, I see a 6'4" black woman with a big hair in a white creepy dress just looking at me, and it scares me.
That sounds pretty startling.
My mom has said that she's heard a woman singing at night sometimes, though I suspect that might have been me singing City and Color songs very well with my beautiful voice.
Maybe her body's under the house.
I'm scared. What if the woman heard me mention her and will now, pursue me? We don't have New York fries here anymore, I don't think.
What are New York fries?
You live in America? Is this just like a freaking a fake American thing we had? A restaurant called New York Fries, where I think they only served fries? That was their whole deal. They were New York freaking freedom-ass fries.
I have never heard of that in my life. Maybe it's just a New Yorker thing. I mean, you're closer to New York than I am, but I've never heard of New York fries. What the fuck is that? What's different about them?
They were actually pretty shitty fries when I had them. They were they weren't thick, but they were still somehow very soggy and not crispy at all. Did not like.
I think the best French fries honestly come from have you ever eaten at Rallies or Checkers? Do they have that in Canada?
I've seen commercials for Checkers, but I ain't never heard of no Rallies. Also, this is the least freaking interesting thing to talk about for our podcast is fries. I watch a lot of Joshua Tomar streams, and he just goes off on food tangents all the time, but that's become a meme. Or just talk about pretzels for half an hour twice a week.
What about the FBI raiding Trump's Mar-a-Lago? How do you feel about that?
I mean, that's something that, or not rather that, but just the whole, why I'm feeling of even in this podcast, I don't know if you noticed this episode, I'm going a lot less political, because I feel like I've everything I've said about politics is something that has been said before, and even though, I think that that's still a reason to keep saying shit, because everyone should be talking about these kinds of things, like trans rights and such, to amplify the voices. However, in the realm of entertainment, I don't want to just be doing the same things that everyone else is doing and not adding anything new to the conversation. And with regards to the Trump raid, it's I hope something comes of it. I hope something comes of the Epstein shit. I hope things are actually happening and the rich are not actually above the law at all times.
For sure. A lot of it just kind of feels so completely out of our control. It's just, what can you really do and what can be said? God, I wish I could do a good Trump impression. I wish I could do it like Zach. I guess I'd be so fucking bad. I'd be worse than Colbert.
I can't do no Trump, but I've always, I don't know, I like doing a Nixon voice. Rand just says I'm good at it, and I've always had a A good JFK. Oh, I can't do JFK anymore since my voice changed more. Gosh dang it. Settle down, Dick. It's just a storm. Change is the law of life. Can't do it no more. I've lost all my impression statuses. How sad. I first heard it in Call of Duty. I do like that JFK quote a lot of. Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future. Like that quote. Rob Schneider, you dumbass.
JFK was my dad's convinced JFK didn't win the election fairly, that he rigged the election.
Well, I don't even know what JFK was like. What was he famous president that everyone loved for? Like, I don't even know why he was assassinated. They don't really teach that here, just that it happened.
Well, JFK, I don't know a ton about him either, but what I do recall is, he was president during the Cuban Missile Crisis, when the Soviet Union was trying to move missiles into Cuba to put them next to the United States to threaten us. And he launched the Bay of Pigs operation, which failed. He also really tried to limit the power of the Federal Reserve, I think, and he tried to limit the power of the CIA. And there's a lot of people that suspect that's why he was assassinated. He was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald, who was a former Marine and like a trained sniper.
Have you ever watched American Sniper, the movie?
I think I did. He has a dog in that, right? That's God, what's his fucking name? Marky Mark? Is it Marky Mark? No, that's what one looks like.
No, that's a different movie. I think that's called like Sniper or something. American Sniper is the one about Chris Kyle.
No, I don't recall that. I've heard of it, I'm sure, but I did.
I just bring this up because my whole life is lensed through video games and movies. But Chris Kyle's an interesting topic to me since he was a sniper in the American Army. I think it was somewhere around either Iraq and Afghanistan or one of the two. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, and at one point it delves into how he sometimes had to make the hard choice of killing a woman or a child who's holding a bomb and going towards American soldiers. And there's been a lot of controversy around that, or there was at the time rather, as it's suspected, I don't know if it was like on record or anything, but that Chris Kyle actually wasn't such a good guy hero, and that he actually just straight up shot innocent people that didn't have bombs on them. I don't know. Is that just speaking ill of the dead, ill of the troops?
That wouldn't surprise me at all, honestly. I do think that people like that need to be taken before the World Court in The Hague. They need to be put on trial for war crimes.
More recently in politics, that like former CIA director or something who was like on some news broadcast. I'm just fucking repeating another thing that I just saw in a Hassan video where he's just like, I've done coup d'etats before, and you do have to be smart to do them. Just like admitted to fucking up other countries.
The CIA does that shit all the time. They tried. Have you ever heard it? Oh, this might this might get you in trouble.
You heard it here, folks. Maxie thinks the CIA started COVID.
No, not that. I do think. Have you ever heard of MK Ultra? Probably.
Is that like a Mortal Kombat game?
That's where the CIA fucked with your average American and like drugged water supplies and studied what happened, and would just assault random people and things. The CIA is very likely behind the creation of the Unabomber.
Wasn't that like one of those recent, is like the FBI entraps people or like tries to get them to become mass shooters, tries to radicalize people just so they can catch them.
I don't know how true that is, but I just heard that there was a former FBI agent from like 2017 who was a whistleblower saying that there were especially since 2001, they've tried to pressure a lot of people into committing acts of violence that they already suspected were going to do it, and they were just trying to set them up, sort of like how police infiltrate drug cartels and stuff, and try and just kind of push things along so they can get the evidence and then arrest them. But from what I understand, most of that was directed towards Muslim Americans, Muslim immigrants, than the white mass shooters that you see.
This is making me feel like discount Joe Rogan. I'm just asking about things I know nothing about and nodding along to whatever you say.
I'll say, of course, I'm not an expert in any of this either. I don't know a lot about politics.
And
I
why the
just know
fuck
what
do
I've
I
heard.
have you on here?
I just pal, I'm a friend. I'm one of the viewers you invited on your first podcast. You said if you want to join, you can
You've
join.
literally never watched anything.
I love the LiveHardCast.
I brought you in off the street. You're just some homeless person I found because no one wanted to come on the podcast with me. And I'm very sad.
You gave me an egg salad sandwich.
Gave you worms, Futurama reference. I'm pretty fucking funny.
I heard in the new Hulu one, apparently they bring spoiler alert, they bring the worms back.
Well, the worms were in high demand. Everyone loves worms. I love having them. I love when my cats had them. And my mom had to make the cats eat worm pills and then pull actual worms out of their assholes. That was a fun time. Glad I didn't have to do that.
Did you know pretty much all vertebrate and all animals with a backbone have tapeworms of some kind that's adapted to them?
Even me?
Well, not right now, but like most species have.
Oh, you didn't mean each individual thing in the world. Everyone has a tapeworm inside them at all times. It influences your decisions. The government are putting tapeworms in your butthole. Interdimensional worms that can slip in and out of your butt at any time.
The Surgeon General at one point, I believe, recommended that women should eat tapeworm eggs to get thinner. Back in like the 40s or 50s.
Well, that's just good advice.
One of the longest animals in the world is a species of tapeworm that lives in the intestines of sperm whales.
God, what a life that must be. How I can only dream.
Some of the oldest tapeworms are the ones that live in like sharks. Sharks have the oldest species of tapeworms, the most basal ones.
I'm cutting out all of these stupid worm facts.
I'm sorry.
I bring a stupid-ass entomologist onto my podcast, talks about worms for 30 minutes straight. You're fired, you're nothing. You're like... I'm guessing based on me being the same as you, we're not party people. Just walk up to women at parties and tell them fun worm facts. Probably doesn't get our worms wet.
I had a few roommates that were huge party animals, and actually whenever they threw parties at our apartment, I had them invite me out a few times, but all I would do is stand around and tell fun facts to them. But when people are drunk, they really like that, and so that's why I like drunk people, because they're like, holy shit, that's fucking crazy, and they'll just like listen to whatever animal facts I have for them.
Are worms considered animals? How similar is worm to man?
I know you're fucking with me. God, that shit triggers
You're on the Joe.
me.
Imagine, if you will, you're on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he says, "Well, so tell me about worms." I've heard a lot of theories that like worm is sort of like a missing link between Sasquatch, worm, and then man. How do you put that together?
Yes, God, that fucking pissed me off so much. I wouldn't even be able to approach the topic. I told you what, I have like major anger issues. When I was in, I don't know if I get in trouble for this, but when I was in junior high, I actually I punched another student in the throat because they said that orcas are stupid fish.
But orcas are stupid fish.
I was so angry, and I punched them in the throat because I was like, "You're wrong. They're not fish. They're mammals." It was just a fit of nerd rage.
God, I bring stupid people on this podcast.
Yeah, you included.
Joe Rogan gets freaking intellectual titans of the right, and I get freaking guy who punches people for saying orcas are fish. Now that you've said that on the podcast, Your employer's gonna hear that and be like, you seem pretty violent. You once punched someone for saying an orca is a fish. I don't think we're gonna hire you.
Oh, I'm not sharing this with my employer. Don't worry.
This is gonna ruin your political career. You'll be painted as a violent environmental activist.
I think the pictures of me. I don't know. Maybe not that. Maybe cut that up. That.
I'll just bleep it so it's just pictures of me. Bleep.
That'll be worse. Then people will be like, they're gonna think that's way worse. No. They're like, that'll ruin my career. Then everyone will be like, oh, it's got to be that. They'll think it's something fucking awful, some war crime. The pictures of me at Guantanamo Bay are what's gonna ruin my political career.
We're about in the wrap-up range here. We've checked all the marks of recommendations and ghost stories and... Oh, one more correction I forgot. I forgot another correction is, hey, remember when I said that Ontario may have a conspiracy that the Premier is sabotaging the healthcare so that he could move towards a privatized method? Yeah, he confirmed that's absolutely what he was doing, and he now wants to start looking at all options on the table, regardless of people who want things to stay the same. That's very nice that due to corporate donors, my life and the lives of millions of people could be made significantly worse, so some fat guy could line his pockets a bit. And that's all the corrections for the week.
Man. Or are they trying to just follow the fucking American model? Because that works so nice and dandy. Fuck that.
Yeah, that is a dangerous thing that a lot of Canadian conservatives look to the South and all the things they're doing wrong, like transphobia and hating black people, and want to do that here. It's very strange, but it gains a lot of ground because the far right has a good presence on the internet.
I have a lot of family that unironically believe America's healthcare system is the greatest in the world.
At any rate, I was saying we're probably in the we can wrap up about now. I don't know if there's anything more you want to anything you want to talk about, or can I close this out?
I think you can close it. I don't really know with that. Is there anything you want me to add or do? I don't know.
Not really. I don't even know how this went. I don't care. Do you want to promote anything or anything like that? Are you doxing yourself?
Oh, I might be doxing myself. Yeah, oops. Come
find me in real life.
Yeah, come to my address.
Well, and I guess that is the end of this episode of the LiveHardCast. Thank you for joining us in episode 3. If you would like to be on the podcast, good for you. Fuck off. Get out of here.